All right, so welcome everyone to ThriveCast, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm Oscar, I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people embody their higher self so they can live their true soul purpose. And with me today, almost as always, I have my co-host, Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. Katarina, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Oscar. So, as you know, 80% of your success is mindset. And that's what I do. I do that in one day. I'm a neuroscience expert. You have all the answers to your life. I have the right questions. So I can create your success blueprint in one day. That's what I do. Okay, so the topic today is from a quote from Mark Twain. The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I mean, for me, that's so profound. It's like, many people wonder why they were born, why they came to this planet. And most people don't find the answers unless you're absolutely persistent and find out why. Oscar has found out why. I've found out why. And you can too. But my first question is, do you have to find your purpose in life? Do you want to answer that, Oscar, or shall I? Do you have to?
You answered first.
I answer. Okay.
Yeah.
After a little reflection.
Yeah, a little bit.
My answer is no. You don't have to. You can just live your life. However, you may not be fulfilled. You may not be motivated. You may just survive. But there's no have to. You don't have to find your purpose, right? So now that's the short and sweet answer, basically. What do you say, Oscar? Do you think we have to find our purpose or not?
By law and by God, we were given free will.
Yes.
We are. You always have a choice to to decide how you want to live your life. That being said, it's also that you will be drawn towards more and more to get closer to God. That's just a naturalness of things. So even if you make the choice as like I'm gonna do this, you will still be drawn into maybe situations. Things will happen. You need to maybe let go of a lot of pains that has occurred in your life. um, so even if you don't have to, there will still be the higher calling from your soul or from your spirit that wants to like here, come here, come here, come towards here. And some can hear it just like a whisper, is like, I want to go this direction. Others can feel like, oh, this painful thing happened in my life. I need to get over it somehow. And that puts you on a path towards what might actually become your purpose. But in essence, as Katarina says, no, you are free to choose your own life. But there might be always something that might pull you towards that deeper why that we are discussing here today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Oscar. So my next question is, how is it to live without purpose? Shall I answer that, or do you want to?
I can answer it.
Okay.
Well, to live without to live without purpose is also a little bit of feeling in a no man's land. Uh, it's this, you will always feel that you need to have a reason, right? So you will start to find meaning outside of yourself. So the meaning will be dictated by society, by your parents, by your friends, by by someone influential, and so forth, right? So you will latch on to other people's ideas, and as actually sometimes other people's purpose as well. So it's more of this idea, but there's something inside of you that says, like, I haven't found my path. What is my part in all of this? How am I supposed to be with the world? Why am I here? Right? That question comes up, the existential question, essentially. So when you are in a very purposeless state, then it's a form of anxiety. There's a form of forcefulness in, like, oh, I have to make this work in this way, right? You are somehow trying to use the means of the world to make yourself fit in the mold of the world. And it's a very stressful way of being, because you're somehow going against the natural flow of life, and you're saying, oh, I want this, and I don't want that, and you're in a constant opposition. And it's like, oh, I found someone I like, but I don't like this about them, or this could be better, or there's this constant urging towards something. And so there's a restlessness to be purposeless. There's a form of, like, and it might be this feeling of, women can have this idea of, I need to have a child. It's like, if I don't get a child, it's like the clock is ticking. Someone can feel that actually with purpose. The clock is ticking for me to find what I'm here for. So, and that can give rise to a lot of anger, can give rise to a lot of you can go into the wall, right? You'd be overwhelmed. You might not be able to function as well, because you're constantly in pursuit of something, right? Yeah. Something that's very clear in the United States is that all like the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit in itself means that I will not really reach happiness per se. I'm pursuing it.
Yes.
And that pursuit is a very, obviously, to constantly pursue something, you get tired, right? You see a cheetah that runs towards an antelope, right? And maybe doesn't catch it. After a while, it gets out of breath. You're the same. You get out of breath towards constantly moving towards some type of bar that society put, not that necessarily was the truth of your life. That's what I would say. What would you say, Katarina?
Beautiful. I just want to comment on that. That was a brilliant response. And what I want to say is there's a feeling of, as the biological clock is ticking for women, they go, oh, well, I'm not fulfilled, but if I have a child, I'll be fulfilled. Right. And then you focus on your child, or your children, all the way up to when they leave home, and then the emptiness hits you. And that's another crisis. It's like the female, midlife crisis, which we can call instead a new beginning. So what I want to say is, when you don't live in purpose, you live in a quiet desperation. And you can't tell anybody about it because everybody else is in quiet desperation. And I think most of the world is. I mean, 50% of people globally are looking for their purpose. That's half the world, right?
Yeah.
And only between 10 and 20% of people have found their purpose. So you can talk to somebody who's found their purpose, right? But if you talk to anybody else, they'll go, well, that's just life. Get on with it, My dad would say, oh, stick to your job. And I would say, well, teaching is not necessarily for me. Oh, you stick to your job, because he stuck to his and he hated it. So that was not very good advice, because I saw what he was saying and I saw what he was doing, and he hated it. He wanted to be a farmer, but he never became a farmer because my mother didn't want that either. So how is it to live without purpose? It's desperate. Quiet desperation. And basically, whether or not you have, all the money in the world, a wonderful husband, a wonderful wife, wonderful family, yes, they have meaning. But what's your meaning? If you don't know your meaning, your purpose, then for me, this may sound drastic, but you're not truly alive. You're not living your life to the full, And it's your choice. And it's your choice. It took me 20 years, by the way, to find mine. And I never gave up. But I went through this quiet and sometimes not so quiet desperation. Sometimes I was really doggone angry because I felt I'd been dumbed down at school, but I couldn't put it in those terms until later that I found out that I had been dumbed down. Mm. But, how do you start from 2% creative genius?
Yeah.
How do you start from that? Well, 2%, it's not 0%. You start from that and you keep searching, and you try this thing and that thing. I tried teaching and then psychotherapy, and I was closer and closer and closer to my goal. But psychotherapy wasn't it, even though I was highly successful. It wasn't it. Until I found that I was an entrepreneurial blueprint consultant. Yeah. Fancy that. School certainly didn't tell me that. Okay, let's go to our next question. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I would say, like, what pops on into my mind is that usually, unfortunately, most cases, it takes a crisis to do the 180 towards, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Now I will find out.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with my.
I'm done. Yeah. I'm done with living the way the world told me to live.
Yeah.
Now it's up to me. Now I'm going towards that small whispering voice within.
Yes. Yeah. And it gets louder, it gets clearer, but listen within, because nobody outside of you, unless they're an enlightened master, can actually tell you what your purpose is. But you know it, and you can feel it. So the entrepreneurial blueprint actually just asks you the questions, and you have all the answers. So next question: how is it to live with purpose, and how do you find it?
I'm going to reverse the order. How do you find it? Let's start from this point of crisis. You're going through some type of crisis where you essentially start questioning things. You start saying, this can't be how things work. There is this Now I don't remember his name, but he is a brilliant analogy. He said, like, okay, so you've done the work, right? You've gone through college, and you found a wife, and you get a job, and you work on that job to until you're 40 years old, and you feel that it's like you got a car, and you get a decent salary, and then you come in, then you come home, and then you just like, no, now what, right? That's it, and you feel somewhat cheated. You're
Yeah.
right. It's like, I was supposed to be happy, why I'm not happy, right? That question, why am I not happy, why am I not satisfied, what is it that I'm saying right here, right now, or what is it that I haven't, what is it that I'm not listening to that is causing me to feel this? And then you start following that trail, and you start doing things differently. You start, mostly for me, it was just like, start looking at the pain I felt inside, and I needed to follow that, and let go of a lot of things that I climbed in. And as I let go, then all of a sudden I started to see, like, oh, that's a store I want to walk into. And in that store, I found out, like, oh, here's two books. So you start to become, it's something in a form of a response, where, like, things pop up in your mind. There's like some guy said something that you just like, ooh, that's interesting. Like that,
Yeah.
that nick that doesn't come from, like, I'm gonna look out how to be successful. That's not what I'm gonna do. It's like, I'm just gonna walk. I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna go out for a walk, after I've let go of things, and I'm gonna see how the life, or how the world just like gives me sparks of inspiration, and then I'm gonna follow those inspiration, and then so it builds upon itself. It's a momentum towards finding this out, and then just like, oh, I might get interested in astrology. I'm just for fun. I'm just gonna check that out, and oh, I went to this retreat and I talked to that person, or I met this woman that made me fascinated. So it's just like, it's essentially, it's an explorative journey, where you start building a form of a jigsaw puzzle, where from the beginning you had maybe just one or two pieces that put together, right? But then you're just like, oh, that one fits there, that one fits there, and you keep on building it, and most importantly, you're following the passion, you're following the inspiration, you're following the joy. That's what you're doing. And then again, like, if you want to truly find out, you want to make something faster, then you obviously go or talk to those people who have found their way, and like Katarina and me, and like, we show you where you're looking, and we help you take, maybe extract the values that is important in your life, and how you're supposed to function, and all of these things. So that's a way to making it a little bit faster, but essentially just following the joy, letting go as you go along, and move along that way. And then when you come to this place of, like, you see how more and more puzzle pieces are just pointing in the same direction. You get proof of concept. You might ask your friends who knows you, by the way. They're like, I really think you're an excellent listener. You're so empathetic in the way that you're listening. I feel so calm when I'm in your presence. These are clues that speaks of the naturalness of your soul, the one that you might not necessarily be the one who feel all the time, but others feel it when they're around you. So that's an excellent way of actually asking the people in your life, what do you feel that, like, when I am with you, and what would you say that I'm excellent at? um, such questions. And once you find this purpose of yours, it's a very like, you know, I can relax into this. I can then start building my life from this premise where a form of authenticity and a certainty and clarity starts ensuing, and each day you get more of it and you get more confirmation, and then you see how life start lining up beautiful experiences that merge with this new way that you're being, and you keep on letting go and shedding that old personality that we also speak about, like the saboteur, right, that we have inside of us. We shed that, and then more and more of that glowing energy inside of us starts fulfilling us, and we feel that we are flowing with life, and it is essentially a flow that comes through you, and it just, you feel held rather than what the hell am I doing.
Beautiful.
What would you say, Katarina?
So much energy, so much enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So much brilliance, Oscar. Fantastic.
Mm.
I would say, I'd like to comment on what you said. It takes courage to listen. It takes courage to listen to your intuition. Somebody else would say, what, you're hearing voices now? You know, that's nuts. You're a little crazy. And it is a kind of a crazy journey because it doesn't actually make sense to the outside world, because they say, go to school, go to university, get a job, jump through all the hoops, and you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine, but you won't be happy, right? So it's about listening to your intuition, as Oscar says. It's about following your passion. It's about listening to your inspiration, listening to the clues. I actually left Sweden to go to the States on my 20-year journey to find out, who am I and what am I up to? What do I want to be up to? And what is my driving purpose and what is my vision? And somebody dropped a clue. They said, well, there's a community of several thousand people in LA, and they're all about becoming a millionaire, but not just becoming a millionaire, becoming an entrepreneur and then becoming a millionaire. And I went there and I found, this is my community. I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I help people find their entrepreneurial blueprint if they didn't. So these things happen when you have the courage to listen to your intuition. And it leads, as Oscar said, to joy. And when you find it, it's a complete relief. It's like, my God, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And then everything starts to make sense. And you start listening within more, because nobody taught me how to do the entrepreneurial blueprint. And, and some people don't believe me. Some people think, well, she learned it from, the head of this entrepreneurial group, or no, I learned it from within. And that's how we can all learn from within. That's how children learn from within. That's how they come up with these amazing questions before the age of 6, because they're coming from creative genius. How do they know to ask these questions? Because they know, somehow they know the answers already, but they're just exploring, So how do you find it? Well, for me now, I don't ask my clients to wait 20 years. I don't say to my clients, go to a coach and pay $50,000 and maybe you'll find it, maybe you won't. I say, come to me in one day, in 4 hours, you will find your passion, your purpose. Now, is it your life purpose? It depends where you are on your spiritual journey, because life, entrepreneurialism is a spiritual game. It's all a spiritual game. We can deny the spiritual game. We can say, no, God doesn't exist. Well, please explain that to me. If God doesn't exist, how can snowflakes be billions and billions of snowflakes? How can they all be different? How can we make a blade of grass? No, no, we can't. We can send rockets to Mars. We can, or to the moon, maybe. But can we create a tiny blade of grass? No, we can't. We don't know how to. So it doesn't make sense to deny God. Now, is this the God of the church? No, this is not necessarily the God of the church. The God of the church is very, very restricted, and God is totally unlimited. And will God talk to you? God talks to you the whole time, whether you're listening or not. Now, can the God within us go to sleep? Oh, yeah. You can get very, very bored with us. But when we have the courage to go to another country, to explore, to listen within, to, as Oscar was saying, to listen to our intuition, even though it doesn't make any sense to anyone, then God starts to speak in a small voice, and then more and more and more. And then more and more and more, you're attracted to people who are extraordinary, who 5 years previously you would have loved to have met, but you weren't there. And they take you to another level. They open doors for you, because we can't do this alone. So how do you feel once you found it? Amazing. Amazing. I mean, I haven't had a real summer holiday. I've had a few wonderful days with my family, absolutely brilliant days, but I've worked the whole time. Why? Because I love what I do. I totally love it. Does anybody motivate me? No. I get up and I just get on with it, and I track people, and things are happening, and it's an adventure. Entrepreneurialism is an adventure. It's a spiritual adventure, and every single day you can meet amazing people. Every single day a door can open for you, and you either walk through it or you don't. So life becomes extraordinary. That's what I will say. Oscar, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, you learn to essentially backtrack, right? If you are 2% creative genius when you move away from school, then you are essentially unschooling yourself back towards the 100% genius, right? Because the 100% genius is the God within, is the spiritual, the fully absolute, blisteringly beautiful brain that is completely free from any form of blockages, right? And that is that's a journey through life, and no one needs to be like, oh, I'm not fully clean. That's not what it's about. It's just that the moment that you have built up sufficient let's say energy, so the tipping point becomes this place of like, I've had it, now something else. Like the moment that you even come there, you are on the other side, right? Because it's like this. All starts with awareness. When you saying, I've had it, I'm no longer going to go in this direction through society or what other people are telling me. I'm finding my path. That's when life say, now we're talking.
Yeah.
And it starts showing you, now you move this way, and you're like, oh, I'm moving that way, and then life rewards you, and so forth, and everything. You know, you don't need to be, you don't need to write a CV. You don't need to like desperately reach out to companies or whatever because you simply feel like, oh, that's fun, I'm gonna do it. You do not force something, or like, oh, I need to write this way, or it should be that way, must be this way. No, because life knows that the people that you're supposed to meet, it will set you up with it if you get out of its way.
Absolutely. The musts and shoulds disappear and life becomes fascinating. And are we actually saying, oh, life is a bed of roses as soon as you find your entrepreneurial vision and your driving purpose? No, it will come with challenges. We're not saying that. We're not going to lie to you. But you will feel amazing within yourself, and you'll face the challenges and you'll grow. And you'll grow with every single challenge. Okay, Oscar, how do we contact you?
Through my website, realitydecoding.com, or Facebook on Live Your Purpose, and also on YouTube as Oscar Nygren. Yeah, and you, Katarina, how do people reach you?
LinkedIn. Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. My formal name is Katrin Carlsson, and contact me there. And benefit from our knowledge, because we are living our purpose. So click on the like button, click on subscribe, because Oscar and I are going to do this every single week. We've been doing this for a year, and we're just going to continue, and we're creating value for you. So subscribe to us, and you'll hear from us next week.
Exactly. Take care, everyone. Bye.